Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode in which we are going to be making a Metroid tier list. Now, this video has actually been a long time coming. My brother requested that I make a Metroid tier list video 2 weeks before Dread got announced, and it is for that reason that I am not certain what I'm going to do with this video. Maybe I should wait till Dread comes out, but I'm not going to do that because, as you can see, this video exists. What I'm thinking is I'll do another one when Dread comes out. Hopefully I'll have a chance to re-game until that point and then play through Dread. But we're just going to have to play by ear and see what happens. All that being said, I did promise my brother that I would make this tier list, and I also, I wanted to make it, and it was apparently a great idea because after I promised him I'd make it, Dread got announced, and I hadn't made it yet. So we are going to go right ahead and get started with the Metroid tier list. So I was thinking, there's not a lot of Metroid games, as sad as that may be. So what I was kind of figuring is that we would go with the one that includes AM2R, because I have played AM2R, and I have an opinion on AM2R. So I'm going to have to make adjustments to this tier list. First thing we're going to do is we're going to change this to fantastic. We're going to turn this into amazing. This is going to be great. This is going to be good. Good. And this is going to be not pallied. Not played. Played? Not played. I pretty much am of the belief that Metroid games are generally good. I can't think of actually a Metroid game that I think is strictly not good. I can't see all the lists because my microphone's sort of in the way. So okay. I'm gonna maybe I should go in order. So first up, Metroid. Where do I think Metroid should go? Okay, so Metroid's a very complicated game, as people well know. Can these be different colors? Pink. Pink is perfect for good. So I'm thinking we'll start with Metroid, and when it comes to Metroid is a good game. The thing about Metroid is that Metroid is definitely the first Metroid game, and that's exactly what it is. It comes across that way, you play it, it feels that way. It's pretty janky. It's also very clever and very fun, and a very good game that is very hard to navigate if you don't already know the map. So it's a very good game. I think that Metroid is a great place to start, and it only got better from there. And well, some people would disagree with that, but I think that Metroid has improved for the most part. Although I keep saying I think that, like, this video is an opinion piece, and this part specifically is what I think, but the rest of it, that's objective. So we have an interesting similar problem with Metroid 2. Okay, you girl Samus Return of Samus. It is fairly comparable to Metroid 1 in that it is very janky and that it's different. They're both pretty different from the norm at the time, and they mix it up in a lot of ways, and they make for interesting experiences. But having played through Metroid 2, I believe all the way, I'm pretty sure, I can say that it is good. It's not great. It is good. It is very hampered by the Game Boy part of the experience. Now, next up is Soup. Okay. So Super Metroid, I have played and enjoyed multiple times. Side note, I think that I'm going to go ahead and I don't know if this is considered standard, but I'm thinking that further to the left and towards the top of each category, that is a more prestigious spot within the category. So if I did this, then it would say that I thought Metroid 2 was better than Metroid. But if I did this, I would say Metroid's better than Metroid 2. So whichever one's closest to the qualifier. So they're being ordered inside of their rank. That's how I'm doing it. I don't watch a lot of tier lists. I don't know if that's considered standard practice or not, but that's what I'm thinking. So I am not inherently saying that this game is as good as this game, but I am saying that they're both good. Is that clear? I don't know. Hopefully it's clear. Okay. So Super Metroid, back to the Super Metroid business. What would Super Metroid be? I have played it. I have one qualm with Super Metroid, and that does actually hamper the experience for me. And my issue with Super Metroid is actually that I played it after Fusion. And Fusion totally reworks the controls because it is supposed to work on a Game Boy Advance and drastically improves them as a result. It makes everything feel way cleaner, smoother, and the gameplay overall, as far as movement, I'm just talking movement here, is way tighter in Fusion. And I think Super Metroid is... well, it's not just great. It's far beyond great. That's not fair to Super Metroid, so... it's either fantastic or amazing. This is tough, because I have really enjoyed Super Metroid. I'm gonna put it in fantastic for now. It might move. We'll see. We'll see as the list goes on. We'll see. What else came out in the order? It's Fusion, I believe. I'm doing this off of memory, so hang on, I gotta adjust my leg. Hopefully, it's pretty... hopefully I got him. I think I pulled up. No, I don't have it pulled up. Okay. Metroid 2, Super, and then Prime. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that they do Prime first, because Prime is not necessarily... I think they came out on the same day, so they just sort of arbitrarily picked one. Okay. With that being the case, Prime is a fantastic game. Might shuffle this more. Prime's fantastic. I remember playing Prime when I was very young and getting confused and lost and still just having so much fun exploring and wandering around and having it an adventure and getting a lot out of the game despite not really finishing it at the time. I did finish it when I was younger and have finished it again since to say that it is a fantastic game. It is a pretty good adaptation of 2D Metroid. I don't know if you can say it's a perfect one, but it had to go in a slightly different direction for it to be 3D and still work as a fun game. So I'm gonna have to say Prime is fantastic. I will decide where it places with Super Metroid soon as the list goes on, and the whole thing will need to be reshuffled at some point, I'm sure. But we're gonna move on to Fusion. Fusion is, in my opinion, the best Metroid game. At this time, I am hoping to be blown away by Dread because it is so good, and I have enjoyed Fusion very much. I have a copy of Fusion. It's very old, it has no sticker, and it does not store save data. anymore. So I don't know which version of the cart that I have, if I have one with a battery, if I have one without a battery, I'm not sure. But whichever one I do have, it is not storing save data anymore, so that's a bummer. But I do have a copy of Fusion, and it's like that because it was played so much and enjoyed so much. Probably. That might not be why. But still. Fusion is a very wonderful development as far as game feel and gameplay and atmosphere, which Super Metroid blew out of the water, and Fusion did more of the same in that regard, but it does a wonderful job at atmosphere. And style, which is another thing Super Metroid has in spades, but I think that I like Fusion's better. And the gameplay overall is smoother and snappier and faster, and it just feels so good. I feel like, I don't even know if I've listed properly. That's beside the point. Fusion is one of the greatest games probably ever made. I'm gonna say it. That's how I feel about it. I do like Fusion more than Super Metroid. I was working on a video about that for a while now, but I actually think more people are coming around to enjoying Fusion, despite it being so linear. Super Metroid already exists, and Fusion is not Super Metroid. So if you wanted Super Metroid, then you're going to have to play Super Metroid. If you want Fusion, then good news. Fusion exists and is phenomenal. So there you go. Moving on past Fusion, next up is Zero Mission. Okay. Zero Mission is over here. I have not finished Zero Mission. I have played through a lot of it, and I'm very much a fan of the way that it feels because it is just a further development on Fusion. If Fusion was a lot snappier and a lot smoother than Super, then Zero Mission is a lot smoother and a lot snappier than Fusion. So I think if you're going to play Metroid, then you should, the first Metroid, if you're going to play Metroid 1, you should just go ahead and play Zero Mission. There's no reason to play Metroid 1 now. We are at a point in time where Zero Mission is a fantastic game, and I just said that, but it might end up an amazing. I don't know. I feel like the tier list needs to be spread out more than every game being fantastic, but that might be disingenuous. I do think Zero Mission is a fantastic game, though, so we'll go from there. All right, Prime 2. Prime 2 is an amazing game. I love Prime 2. Sometimes I like it more than the original Prime, but it's barely not. It's not even that it's not as good. It's just it's so peculiar. It's an amazing game. I almost said fantastic. To be honest, you could probably call them all fantastic, except for notwithstanding a few. But Prime 2 Echoes is a wonderful experience. I want to make sure it's clear that I'm not knocking any of these games by putting them slightly lower than others. The lowest category on here is good, so that should give you a good idea as to how I feel about these games in general. So I got all the way to the final boss fight in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, and fought Dark Samus, and then fought Emperor Ing, and was stuck on them in that little range there. You fight Dark Samus, and then you fight Emperor Ing, I believe. It's been a long time since I've actually done it. But before I could finish it as a child, my disc got scratched up, and so I did not get to finish it, and I was very sad, and I really wanted to see the ending. But huge step up over the original Metroid Prime. The suits look different whenever you get a new suit, and they look awesome. So the dark suit, the light suit, they look great. I think there's 3, but I mostly remember the dark suit and the light suit. And they are very, very cool designs, a very sleek experience. 2 is an amazing game. I'm gonna try and leave it there. It might bump itself up to fantastic as we go. Not sure. After that, we've got Pinball. Alright, I actually do have a copy of Metroid Prime Pinball, and Metroid Prime Pinball is good. Is it just good? It's really fun. Oh, I'm sorry, it's like midnight. I would have a hard time saying that Metroid Prime Pinball is not... Well, I'd have a hard time saying that Metroid Prime Pinball is better than Metroid 1 and 2. I don't know if I can justify that idea. Alright. After Pinball is Hunters, the other DS game. So Hunters is actually a really interesting game. It is very cool to play, and the multiplayer, when it was around, I'm told, was really fun. I think I've played the single cart play with friends before, if there is single cart play. If not, then I imagine that and forget I said anything. Actually, that reminds me. Metroid Prime 2 has a great multiplayer mode that is tons of fun. I don't know why they didn't bring it back in any scenario. I don't even think it was in the trilogy release. I'm not sure. I don't have it, but I don't think it is. And that's disappointing because it is a really fun time. I used to play 4-player with my cousins and my brothers all the time, but you know, that might bump it to fantastic, actually. That might push it, but we're gonna leave that for now. We're gonna come back to it. Hunters. That got me on Hunters. Hunters is weaker than Prime 1 and 2. And I would say 3. 3 is still a pretty good game. But it is a very cool game to play. It is a very interesting experience because they did a really good job making essentially a Metroid Prime game on the DS. Unfortunately, it can be a little bit repetitive and it can have sort of samey things going on. Although it's hard not to be impressed and have that bring up the experience overall. So I'm going to say that Hunters is actually great. It's not as good as 1 or 2, or 3 probably, but I think it's actually a pretty great game. Now, I acknowledge it is very flawed, but it's pretty good. I won't lie to you, it's actually pretty fun. The multiplayer is, another thing that kind of helped it, but oh well. Now we have, I just looked at it and forgot already. 3, okay. So 3 is not as good as 2. But better than Hunters, for sure. 3 is a great game. They actually went in a whole kind of different direction with it. Made more narrative, more interaction-focused gameplay. Something about it just doesn't get all the way there. For me, it feels more directed. It works for Fusion. It doesn't feel to me that it works as well for Prime 3. I'm not sure why, but something about Prime 3 is just a little bit weaker than 1 and 2 to me. But just a little. Prime 3 is still a great game. I love the ship mechanics. It's all fun. It has such a cool new concept with the phase-on suit, and I like that mechanic with the overload mode or whatever it's called. I don't remember. I haven't played it in a little while, but I think it's called it's like a Berserk mode, and I think it's a pretty cool mechanic. I think it's pretty fun. It does make some fights pretty trivial, but I think it is a decent enough mechanic that is fun to use. And that's what's important. Is it a fun game? Yes, it is a very fun game. I also feel like the puzzles were not as... Maybe in a good way. The puzzles that I remember from 3 were not as esoteric as some of the things that you would find in 1 or 2. 1 the most, as far as I can recall. I definitely made it further in 2 than I did in 1 without help. So I assume... No, they're both pretty esoteric. I don't know. Whatever. After Trilogy... So I do not have Trilogy on this list. This is a list I picked, and it happens to include Amter, as I like to call it, even though it's called AM2R. So we're just going to move on to Other M, which very recently I was sitting there and I thought to myself, it's called Other M because it's mother. And then I felt stupid for not getting that sooner. But that's okay. Other M is... This list is very hard to make. I don't want to go on just the public opinion of the game, because I actually have enjoyed it a good bit. You know, I'll say, I think I enjoyed playing Other M more than the original Metroid. It's like a more close translation of the Super Metroid formula into 3D than Metroid Prime is, although it is more linear and much the same way that Metroid Fusion is. So maybe if you want to be more accurate, it's more like Metroid Fusion in 3D than Metroid Prime is. Okay. I think that's perfectly clear. That's a perfectly clear statement. So, where do we go from here? I have unfortunate news. As far as these two babies go, I haven't played them. Federation Force, I've heard mixed things about. Mostly that's not as good as it should be if it's going to have Prime in the name, because it's not the Prime people wanted, and it was not the time to announce it and then subsequently release it. So people were disappointed. And I would very much like to play Metroid Return of Samus, or Samus Returns, the remake. But I have not yet. I'll have to get a copy and go through it. I'm excited to, because apparently Dread's mechanics build on Samus Returns mechanics, so that would be cool. To get basically a little taste of what's coming, because I haven't played Samus Returns yet, and I am excited to do so. But that is worth noting. I have played AM2R completely. I might have 100% of it. I'm not sure. I don't remember. And I like it at least as much as Zero Mission, which is kind of what he was going for, right? Like, that's the idea. It's sort of the Zero Mission of Metroid 2. 2 mission. 1 mission. Is this the first mission after Zero Mission? I don't know. I don't think I liked it more than Prime 2, but I think I liked it more than Prime 3. Let's see. How do I feel about this tier list? Fusion, Super, Prime, 0, 2, Amateur, 3, Prime 3, Hunters, Mother, Metroid 1, Metroid 2, Pinball, else. Now, it might just be nostalgia, but I like Prime more than Super. I have less experience with Super in my life, than I have with Prime, and I played Super when I was much older. I have nostalgia for Super because it was, still when I was young, but Prime, it's good. It's there. I feel pretty comfortable putting these right next to each other, which is funny. They came out on the same day, so they had a good day that day. Do I like Super more than Zero? I don't know. I also want to make it abundantly clear. I am ranking these games on my personal opinions, not which one I think is the best per se. Although, let me clarify. Which one I think is the best, in my opinion. I don't think this list is objective at all. This is a me thing. I'm just sharing my thoughts. Whatever the case, Fusion is number one right now. I really, really hope that Dread will dethrone Fusion. Expect the worst, hope for the best. I think it'll be a amazing, at the very least, game. And I'm very excited to get to play it. As far as the rest of the list goes, I think I like Amateur more than Prime 3. I'm pretty comfortable with where everything else is. Hunters. Yeah, I think which one did I enjoy more? Hunters or Other M? I'm not 100% sure that I've completed either of them, to be honest, but I have played them to their extent for the most part. Okay. I'm pretty happy with this tier list. Give me your tier lists in the comments below. And tell me how I'm a terrible person for not putting Super at number one. And even more so for putting Fusion at number one. Fusion is my favorite game in the series. It has a very interesting plot. It has very interesting mechanics. It feels super duper tight. It's fun to play. The power-ups are fun to use. And they're interesting ideas. Super, if I had to play Super first, I don't know what would be the case. I think I would still ultimately like Fusion more, but Super does not, in my opinion, because it's so much more tanky and it doesn't feel as fluid, it detracts from the fun that I probably would have had from Super if it was the first one that I played. But unfortunately, I grew up in an era where the first one I played was Fusion, because that was the one that was out when I was a child. So, Fusion, in summary, greatest game of all time. I'd be very interested to hear y'all's opinions on these games and what you think is the best, what your order of operations would be for the Metroid series, and how you feel about the Metroid series, and how you're feeling about Dread, and if you're excited to play it. I may do another tier list when Dread comes out. I don't know if I'll need to. Let me know in the comments down below what your tier list would be like, and tell me how you feel about Dread, if you're excited to go ahead and get to play it finally, and if you think that Samus Returns is a good basis for Dread to build on. Let me know how Mercury's Steam did, and I will eventually get around to playing it myself, which also Federation Force. It's the 3DS games, the ones that were in there. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Jesus loves you, so do I. Tune in next time, and goodbye. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired. Babe, I'm tired. Hmm? Stow? Stop. No, I'm almost done.